Look at a map of the world, and nearly every inch of land is carved up by borders and governed by a sovereign state. Except right here. At the bottom of the globe lies a frozen continent completely devoid of a sovereign owner. Within this landmass sits Marie Byrd Land. Covering 1.6 million square kilometers, it is the largest single piece of unclaimed territory on Earth. The rest of the continent didn't remain completely untouched. In the early 20th century, explorers and governments raced to plant their flags in the ice, attempting to divide the landmass into national territories. This map shows the result. 7 nations, Argentina, Australia, Chile, France, New Zealand, Norway, and the United Kingdom, drew lines across the ice. Notice how some of these pie-slice claims physically overlap, putting multiple countries in direct competition for the exact same terrain. By the middle of the 20th century, these ghost borders had created a fragile situation. The continent was primed to become a new theater for international territorial conflict. After the Second World War, the international approach to the ice shifted. Scientific exploration largely gave way to strategic military positioning. In the winter of 1946, the United States launched Operation High Jump, sending a massive naval expedition of 13 ships and 4,700 men into the Antarctic. The objective was to test military material and train personnel for warfare in extreme cold. As tensions between superpowers deepened globally, the prospect of an arms race spreading south became a tangible risk. There was active concern that nations would soon establish permanent military bases and conduct nuclear weapons testing directly on the ice. Stopping a hot war in one of the most hostile environments on the planet required a diplomatic maneuver that had never been successfully executed. Following a period of global scientific cooperation known as the International Geophysical Year, U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower convened an Antarctic conference. In 1959, the 12 nations active in the region signed the Antarctic Treaty. This diagram illustrates the legal mechanism of Article 4. It didn't force countries to abandon existing claims, but banned new claims or expansions. With the map frozen, the treaty explicitly prohibited all military bases, maneuvers, and weapons testing, including nuclear explosions. By ignoring the dispute over who actually owned the land, the treaty transformed an entire continent into a natural reserve devoted exclusively to peace and science. But that doesn't mean military forces are completely absent from the continent today. The treaty includes a loophole for logistic support. It allows military personnel and heavy equipment to deploy to the ice, provided they're strictly assisting civilian scientific missions. During annual supply runs, military personnel can make up a significant portion of the workforce. This logistical presence operates alongside dual-use technology. Equipment like satellite ground stations and advanced ocean sensors conduct vital scientific research, while simultaneously gathering data that has clear military intelligence applications. Through these advanced scientific research stations, nations maintain a highly coordinated presence. They function as strategic outposts, establishing a permanent footprint on the terrain. Weapons and bases are outlawed, but nations still use scientific investment and military logistics as calculated placeholders to maintain their territorial influence. Underneath that territory lies a hidden economic variable. The continent sits on vast, untapped reserves of minerals and potentially oil. In 1991, treaty members signed the Madrid Protocol. This agreement added a critical layer to the treaty system, designating Antarctica as a natural reserve and implementing a strict, continent-wide ban on all mining. This timeline illustrates a condition of the Madrid Protocol. The absolute ban on mining is not permanent. In 2048, it becomes modifiable. As global resource scarcity increases, nations could vote to lift this ban and access those minerals. The Antarctic Treaty System did not permanently resolve the conflict over the continent's resources. It merely delayed the confrontation until the mid-21st century. That timeline is now colliding with rapid physical changes. Climate change is actively warming the region, breaking down and altering the continent's natural ice defenses. As the ice sheets recede, waterways open up. Previously impenetrable areas and resources are becoming easier to navigate, lowering the barrier to entry for potential exploitation. Despite these mounting pressures, this map shows that over 50 nations have now signed the Antarctic Treaty. It remains one of the most widely supported international agreements in human history. The ice is physically thawing, and the 2048 deadline is approaching. We are about to find out if this international agreement can survive the pressure of a warming world, or if the peace on the ice was only temporary.